In this video, I'm going to share my screen and show you a step-by-step tutorial that you can follow in order to learn how to use Google Form as a virtual assistant. By the end of this video, you will have enough knowledge to create almost any type of form that your client are going to want you to create and manage. And the good news is, all you need in order to follow along is just access to computer and internet connection. Google Form is free and we don't need any extra add-on in order to start working on it. So if you have a computer and you have access to internet, I'm going to share my screen now and we can get started. So the first thing we need to do is to access Google Forms. And in order to access Google Forms, all we need to do is just go to forms.google.com. So you just need to open your browser and then you type in forms.google.com. Okay, when you come to forms.google.com, you are going to land on this page. But make sure you are logged into your Gmail account first. If you are not logged into your Gmail account, you have to log in order to access Google Forms. If you have ever used Google Forms previously, if you have created other forms, you are going to see them right here. Under recent forms, you are going to see the forms that you previously created. If you have never created any Google Form, this is going to be empty. And this right here at the top, these are some template, form template. And you can click template gallery in order to see all the templates that you can just start using. If you want to create a form and you find a template that closely align with what you want to create, you can simply start with a template so that you won't have to start from scratch. But if you want to start from scratch, you just need to come right here to blank form and click on it in order to create a brand new form, a blank form. Okay, this is our new Google Form and this is where we are going to start building our form. The first thing I want to do is I want to rename this form so that it is easier to know which form it is. Right here, the default title is Untitled Form. That isn't very helpful, so I'm going to change the title. You just need to click on it in order to change the title. And let's assume I am creating this form for my client. I'm going to give you a recent example. I work with someone who used to have consultations with client, and when she have a consultation with client, after the consultation, I send the person a link to a form to ask for their feedback, which basically give them the opportunity to share their experience in the form. So I'm going to change this title to Client Experience Form, Client Experience Feedback Form. Okay, that's it. And now the form have been renamed. If we come back to the Google Forms page, we are going to see this form. The first thing is, this is the title of the form. And right here, we can add a description of this form. And I can simply write a dummy description. I can say something like, okay, you write the description. This is most likely going to be given by your client. If you are working for someone, they are going to give you what they want to have on the form. They will give you the title of the form and all the questions and everything that you need to add on the form, including the description. And when you write the description, you can use these icons to style it. You can make it bold, italic, underline, or you can even add links. I am not going to do all of that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a header image for this form so that it is more visually attractive. And you can do that by coming to themes right here at the top. This icon, you click on it. And this is where you can change the font of the form, but this, you are rarely going to need this, the font and the sizes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the header image and the overall color of the form. So for the overall color, I can leave it as default or I can change it to this green. Okay, this looks better. And I can change the header image. I can add a header image. I can simply do this. I click on this. Okay, these are some stock images that we can use. But if you want to upload an image, if you have an image from your client that you want to use on the form, you can upload it here. If you want to use a stock image, you can simply choose one that align with what you want to do. For sake of example, I'm just going to choose this one. And I click insert. And that's it. The image has been added here. If you are working for a client, you are probably going to want to have an image from them that you can use right here. If you do graphic design for them, then you are going to create it. And another good thing about Google Forms is you don't need to continuously save your work. By default, everything you do is going to save automatically. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to start adding questions. And we can add questions by using these little icons right here at the right side of the screen. This first question is by default, we have this first question on title question. Let's say we are going to start by collecting their first name. So I'm going to rename this to first name. Okay, this is where you are going to choose the type of answer that you want for this field. And by default, Google Forms can automatically select what is closely aligned with the question that you added. Since we want to collect their first name, we need a short answer. If you click here, you can choose a paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, drop down, or even upload file and other items. If you choose a short answer, it is going to be a one-line answer. It's a question that they can only write in one line. If you choose a paragraph, then they can write a long answer in multiple paragraphs or a big block of text. So since this is a first name, we are going to choose a short answer. The next thing is I'm going to make it required. We need their first name, so you can make it required. By default, it is required. If you toggle it up, then users can submit this form without filling out this question. But we need their name, so I'm going to make it required. And we want to collect also their last name. To do that, we are going to click this plus icon to add another question. If I click, you see the question have been added below the first name question. And right here, we are going to ask for their last name. Okay, for this also, we are going to want the answer to be a short answer, a one-line short answer, and we want it to be required or not required, depending on the client and the type of work you are doing for them. The next thing we want to collect from them might be something like, we can say something like, have you gained value out of your session? Since we are asking for a feedback, this is one of the questions we are probably going to want. And for this question, we are going to want them to either answer with yes or no, right? And you see there is a suggestion right here. Google Form have given us a suggestion. You can click add all to add this yes and no and maybe, or you can choose one, or you can choose right here manually. If you click here, you can choose multiple choice. Since we want a yes or no answer, that's what we are going to do. I'm simply going to click on add all from the suggestion. So you see users can either choose yes or no or maybe, but I don't want users to choose maybe. So I'm going to remove it by clicking this cancel icon. Okay, and we want this question also to be required. But the next thing we might want to do is, it depends on what you are doing for the client and the type of work, but you can have a form on one page with all the questions that people are going to answer all the questions and submit. But let's say you want users, if users said yes, they gain value, they are going to see different next question. If they said no, they are going to see a different question. This is where we are going to use logic. And we can use logic by coming here. We can add a new section. And we can name this section to something like personal suggestion. And we can add a description for this section, but that's not really necessary. So I'm going to add another question under this section. I can click here to add a question. If they said yes, they gain value out of it, I am going to ask them something like, what is the most valuable part of your session? Okay, for this we are going to want the answer to be a paragraph, and we can make it required or not required. And I am going to add another question after this one. I'm going to add a question that will say something like, what do you wish? Okay, now we have two questions under this section, but let me come back here. If they answer yes, with have you gained value out of this question. If they said yes, I want their next question to be what is the most valuable part of the session, and they are not going to see this question. But if they answer with no, I want them to come to this question, but they are not going to see this question. We can choose this question, and we can click these dot icons, and we can choose this one, go to section based on answer. If they answer with yes, we want them to go to the next section, and which is personal suggestion, right? And the first question under this is what is the most valuable part of the question. But if they answer with no, we want them to skip this question. And in order to do this, we are going to break it off a little bit. We are going to add another section below the first question. I'm going to choose this question, and I'm going to add a section. I'm going to name it the same, personal suggestion. And we have this, what more would you like to have taken away from the session? So if we come to this one, if they answer with yes, they are going to come to this section, to this section. But if they said no, then they are going to go to the next one. Okay, so I'm going to add one last section. I can come down here to the last question, then I can click on add section, and I'm going to name it review. And I can add a question. The first one is write about your experience. Okay, and the answer is going to be a paragraph. We want to get their review, right? And we can add one last question, which is going to be a star rating. We will say how much star will you give, and we can change it from linear scale to rating. Okay, now they can choose how much they are going to rate their session. And that is going to be all the questions and all the sections we need. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to test the form. And we can do this by coming to preview tab right here, this button. When we click on it, and we can see the questions that we have right here. At first, they are going to have to check this box so that their email account, their Gmail account is going to be added to their responses. And we are going to go ahead and submit all the questions. First name and last name. Have you gained value out of the session? I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to go to next. You see, the next question is what is the most valuable part of the session? But what if they choose no? Let's come back here and choose no. We go to next. You see, their next question is what more would you like to have taken away from the session? So we are going to write something like it's all good, and we are going to go to next. And right here we can write a testimonial. And how much star are we going to rate our session? We can rate it 4 or 5, and we are going to click on submit. I cannot submit it because I am in a preview mode, but as soon as they click submit, they are going to receive, the form is going to be submitted. And if they want to restart again, they can simply clear the form and they can start form from the beginning. So this is how the form looks at the moment. Okay, right now users cannot submit this form because we haven't published it. In order for users to be able to submit the form, we are going to come to publish, and anyone with the link can respond. So we just click on publish. Okay, now the form has been published. And in order to share this form, the first thing is if you want to add someone like a collaborator to this form, if you are going to be managing the form, but you want to add your client to the form, so that when someone submits the form, they will be able also to receive the notifications and they can check this back end of the form and see responses. You can come to share right here, and you can add collaborators. You just need to add people's email address, and you can click on done. When you add people's email address and you click on done, you add them to this form. Since we come to this stage, let's say we want to share this form with other people. We want to share this form with users. How can we do that? We just need to come to this button right here, and we can copy the POM link, or we can shorten it so that we can get a short URL that is easier to share. We click on copy, and I can come to another tab, and let's see how the POM looks. Okay, I'm going to submit the POM. I will start by adding my email address. I will add my first name, my last name. I will say yes and go to next. What is the most valuable part? I will go to next. I will write the testimonial. Okay, I'm going to give it 5-star, and I'm going to submit the POM. Okay, that's it. The POM has been submitted. The next thing we can do is we can come to the back end, and you see from the back end we already have one response. It showed right here. When we click on it, you see these are the information, the overall information of the people who submit the POM. And if we want to see individual responses, we can come to the individual tab, and we can choose the email address of the one person that submits the POM, and we can see all their answers. If we scroll, we can see all their answers, their testimonial, and their ratings. If we come to the summary, we can see the summary of all the people who submitted. So this is how you can check the responses when people start submitting the POM. If you have a lot of responses and you want to see them all in a spreadsheet, you can click here, link to sheet, and you can get a link to a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet will be created, a Google Sheet, and all the responses will be added there. So you can start working with the responses in a spreadsheet. So this is how you can create a Google POM. You share the link and get responses. You add collaborators. You add logic to the POM, and almost all the things that you are going to want to learn in order to use it as a virtual assistant. The next thing you can do is you can go ahead and create a sample POM. You take a screenshot and you add it to your portfolio. And if you want to learn more about creating the best portfolio, you can watch this next video. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next one.